it is day 7 in the Karen Read trial, and Jen is still on the stand, of course. It is lunchtime, but I don't think they'll be done with Jen today, so I'm just going to do like a morning recap of what's happening so far. Before they brought the jury in, Brennan wanted to get approval to have some conversation where Jen is stating that when she told John how to get to her sister's house, that she lived by Bella, and he wanted to make sure that that will be allowed in, that directions that she gave included the implication that it was near Bella's mom's home. And not just, oh, something that was randomly talked about in the car. He wanted to make sure it was okay to say it wasn't something that was just randomly talked about in the car when they were looking for John. It was something that was referenced earlier in the night when they were providing directions to the actual home on Fairview. So the Commonwealth took about another hour with their direct examination with Jen, and then they did go ahead and pass it over to the defense. Within that, they did go ahead and play the 911 call when Jen calls 911 after they have found John O'Keefe. And I've seen a lot of people kind of complain that, you know, she never said he was, you know, a police officer. She never said that they were at a home of a police officer. A lot of people kind of complain about the things, the way she said, you know, the way she did the 911 call. Like, she didn't even say my friend. She was just like, you know, there's a man found. And I don't know. I don't think there's anything yay or nay about that call, because honestly, when you are calling 911 and you're in the midst of something happening, you don't remember nothing what you said. So if you've never had to call 911 on somebody that you actually care about, hearing that call back, you might be like, that's what I said. I have done that. I take care of my mom, and I have a camera in the area that she's mostly in, and I had to call 911 one time, and when I went back and looked at that video footage, I was like, what? So you never know what you're gonna say. When you're in the midst of trying to get them help, you'll just be blah, 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 and that's what I did. So I don't have like a yay or nay on her calling them. Could she, if she was more intensive with, you know, her words, have said something better? Absolutely. But it's not a yay or a nay for me personally. Now, she did state that the front door was open to her sister's home, and that she went in the home only because Officer Lang was like, go in there. That would have been the first thing I did when I got to that house. I forget my friend John. I'm going in the house to check on my family members. What's going on with y'all? That's what I would have been. They would have been left out there with John, because I would have went in the house. Nobody would have to tell me to go in that house. I would have been in the house like, what's going on? What happened? They would have been like, that's what the first thing you did when you got to that vehicle was run in the house? Absolutely. I ran in. I didn't see him. I saw them over there going to get him. It was two of them. I thought they was great. I went to go check on my family members, because that's where my mindset would have been. What's going on with my family members? They got him, honestly. Other than that, that's pretty much all they did to finish up on the direct examination. So when Cross got up, you know, Alan Jackson was ready. He ate his Wheaties this morning. He was ready to go. He was on go when he got in the building, okay? So he first kind of started out setting the foundation of this relationship between Carrie and Jen, so that he can crumble it. He wanted to build that house up so he can crumble it, and he absolutely did. He's like, so when was the last time you talked to her? And she's like, oh, last night. We talked last night. Did you talk about the case? No, not at all. We just talked about regular stuff. We don't believe you, but okay. And then he was like, well, how often were you guys talking about this case within the past year? Not that often. We were just talking about regular stuff. Oh, okay, man, we don't believe you. We absolutely do not believe you. So yeah, like he put in that crumb work of those building blocks of these people have sat around and talked about this case often. They've sat around and talked about this case often. They done already let us know they done had somebody sit down and transcribe the, you know, memories. So they've talked about this case regularly. He got her all the way in there so he can crumble that house. That y'all been talking about this? Y'all been trying to line up your stories. When things, you know, come out and they don't sound right, y'all get on the phone and smooth things over. And then of course he did go into the line of, well, how many times have you talked to the Commonwealth to prepare for this case? Oh, only a couple of times. She started to slip about something about a Zoom call, and Auntie Bev quickly reined that in and said move on. So I'm not sure what that Zoom call is. I'm hoping maybe somebody who is a little bit closer to the situation to let me know what that Zoom call is, but she slipped up and started talking about a Zoom call, and then they Auntie Bev came in and swooped and saved the day. And then when he was going into kind of the line of what did she do to prep for this trial, he definitely asked about, you know, did y'all have conversations about your demeanor, how you come across, you know, some tips on how to be more appealing on the stand, because she's very resting bitch face energy. I'm the same way, don't blame her. But she definitely has been trying to smile more. She's been looking at the jewelry a lot more. She really tried to go more into her family and who she kind of is as a person to make her seem very more human and likable. So he was kind of like, did you get any coaching on that? And she said no, but we know she has, because her behavior from the first trial to this trial is totally different. It's a totally different person. She's definitely been trying to even over-explain some stuff. So her approach is different from last time. We know the difference. And then he definitely broke down as many possibilities of this doggone connected, intertwined family tree, everybody know everybody kind of stuff. He went down deep with this as into that as he possibly could. Because if you don't know, please know there are a lot of connecting pieces in this trial, which is why it has become, you know, the magnitude that it is because everybody know everybody. Somebody's married to somebody, somebody used to date somebody got kids by somebody's kids was in somebody's wedding, other people's siblings who are attorneys done helped on this case. In that case, it's very interconnected, intertwined. It's a lot of shenanigans, okay? It's a lot of connected dots. When you look at them strings, connected stuff, that's them. That's why that was created, because of them. Multiple people are connected up and down, left and right. If you say somebody doesn't have a connection to somebody, it's like, oh, really? They don't? Because it's that much intertwined, interconnected shenanigans. So he did definitely go down that as much as possible to make sure that the jury was like, and I know that without a chart, you absolutely get lost in the sauce, which is what his goal was. Make sure that you understand it's so convoluted that unless we provide you with the chart, you will not understand the magnitude of how them strings is going. You will not understand. Now, of course, they cannot talk about the feds being involved in the Karen Read case. So they have to use its law enforcement agency. You know, when that law enforcement agency came out, that's the verbiage that they're using to get around saying the feds. But he used some verbiage today to definitely let them know it was the feds, because you can't lie to the feds. And he kind of pretty much said that to her. So also, you said that even though you know you can lie to that into that law enforcement agency. So hopefully people caught that in the jury, that verbiage that he used, because he definitely did that. Very sneaky. I did like that. Real sneaky out. I likes that. When the feds got to her house to interview her, she opened the door and told them she needed 10 minutes because she was not ready for them. And she said that she only called and talked to 2 people in that time frame. And then she called them back after they left because her husband was like, you need to let them know you talked to more than 2 people. Because if they go pull in phone records and be like, why didn't you tell us you talked to more than 2 people, we're going to have a problem. So she called them after they left, even though she told them only 2 people. And she called Carrie. She called her husband, Matt. She called Peggy O'Keefe. She called the DA's office and said she talked to her victim's advocate. It was to the DA's office. And then she called her brother-in-law, Brian Albert. So she called like 5 people, and she told them she called 2 people. You said I need 10 minutes, and you called that many. That's a lot of people, personally. That's a lot of people. I'm antisocial. I don't get on the phone like that, so I definitely wouldn't have called people. But if you are a very social butterfly, you called 5 people in 10 minutes, you definitely made it seem like, well, you don't know how to tell the truth. Because why would you need to tell me that you only talked to 2 people if you talked to multiple people? You could have said I called a group of people because I had to get my nerves down because I don't know why y'all here. That would have been perfectly fine, honestly. Because the feds don't give you no warning. They just roll up. Hi. So it would have not been an issue for her to say, I called multiple people, because I needed to calm down because I don't know why y'all are here. I don't care what happened. I don't know why y'all is in my house. So it would not have been, nobody would have looked at her bad, honestly. I needed to calm down because I'm trying to figure out what's going on in life. There's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly fine. You are still human at the start and the end of the day. If you need to call 5 people, you need to call 5 people. But why would you tell them you only call 2? That's the actual issue. And also, they went to break and they announced it was going to be like a 20-minute break, but they were gone for like 40 minutes. There is some chatter that some type of a meeting was going on with some family members. That has not been confirmed, but something did kind of go down. Break was definitely supposed to only be 20 minutes, and it was way, way longer than 20 minutes. So we'll wait to see what that detail comes out about what that was about, because I don't think it was nothing. So we'll see. So they are at lunch. This is going to be the good old Jen McCabe morning session breakdown. All right. So of course, Jen did go ahead and proceed on with her shenanigans in the afternoon portion of the testimony. They did continue on with Cross. And when we got back after lunch, he pretty much started with talking about how many different times Jen went to the window to check to see if John and Karen had arrived. And she did that multiple different times. And he was trying to, verify that every time she would go to the window and was looking for them, she would text him. And she tried to make it seem like, no, that's not really what I did. But she did go to the window 1,001 times and then text him 1,001 times. And per previous testimony, they seem to have lined up. She would look out there and see something and then text, and they correlated. But he did ask her, with all of these numerous times of you going to that window and checking for them, you didn't hear anybody sound like they was in distress. You didn't hear anything like an accident. You didn't hear anything like a sound that would be alarming, that would draw your attention to be like, what's going on outside? No, I didn't hear any of that. She said she didn't hear a peep. Of course, we all know, I feel personally like, how you didn't hear that? How? Even if the music was blasting, somebody getting hit, you would hear something. But she said she didn't hear not a thing. No, I didn't hear anything. Even though you kept going to that window 5,001 times. I digress. Now, she states that she noticed that there were tire tracks in the road. She said it was a light outside that beamed down on that area, but she saw tire tracks. But she did not see John's body on this lawn. But she did see tire tracks in the street. With all the numerous times that she kept going to that window, she saw tire tracks. And he did, bring the irony to that situation. You saw tire tracks, but you didn't see John, who was 6 feet and 200-something pounds? No, I didn't see him. I wasn't looking for him. He said, that's not what I asked you. Did you see him? Because you weren't looking for them tire tracks, but you saw them. Well, no, I didn't see him. He could have erased it right there. That's enough for me. You saw a tire track, but you didn't see John in the ground. Now, he did trip her up, and she was like, oh, well, it's important for a witness to tell the truth. It's absolutely very important for them to tell the truth, and we're not getting the truth vibe from you. Court TV did a poll, and it asked, do you find Jen's testimony believable? 67% said no. No, we don't. We don't find you believable, ma'am. Nor did we last year, nor do we this year. We're 2 for 2. We don't believe you. Now, he did go into her testimony with the grand jury, and I'm absolutely appreciating the weight that they are putting on these grand jury statements, because the grand jury statements are how, we are here in the first place with these charges against Karen. And so what they said, how they said it, all played a very important factor into where we are today. Yes, it is a very true statement that the grand jury will indict a ham cheese sandwich. But what they said was definitely very important to how we got to, where we are today. And in her grand jury statements, she did not say that she heard Karen say, I hit him. And now she done got on the stand and told us, from yesterday, that Karen said that to her multiple times. She done said that in a phone call. She said that on site. But she didn't state that in the grand jury testimony, that you heard her say, I hit him. He even went to the extent of saying, do you want to read these 227 pages of your testimony? He was wrong for that. But he was like, do you want to read them, because you didn't say that? And she's like, oh, well, I can't read all of these. But if that was an important statement, you would have remembered it when you're testifying to the grand jury, a couple of months later about this incident. It would have just, especially when you're saying we went over these notes and wrote it out, that's going to stick with people, that you said we took the time to write it out, but we didn't remember to mention it when we went to that grand jury. That was the whole point of writing it out, right? What was the point of writing it out if you're not going to, go take that information to them? That should line up. That should be in y'all's notes when y'all took the time to do it, and y'all had to have somebody transcribe it. You should remember, okay? You should remember. And then he definitely also did ask her about those, first few phone calls that she had with officers. Did you mention that information to them as well? Because the timeline didn't add up. You said that you heard this multiple times. You didn't say it to the grand jury. You didn't even, in your first couple of initial calls with officers, say that I heard her say that. And you definitely didn't say I heard her say it multiple times. So she's like, I don't remember every phone call. I don't remember every conversation. You still proving his point, ma'am. You didn't tell anybody of this statement that was very significant. And if you're saying she said it multiple times, it is extremely significant. You didn't remember in none of these prior, immediate conversations after this incident took place to mention that information. So they definitely got a little heated back and forth. It was very tense between the two of them. And of course, Auntie Bev let, her rant on because she was trying to not answer questions, but say she was answering them, because she would be like, I don't remember this because blah, 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 blah. And he was like, that's yes or no question. So Auntie Bev, of course, let that go on. But he definitely still proved his points. The statements that you are making are inconsistent. The statements that you are making are not coming across as truthful. And that's where we are. Like, we want to wash your testimony because it's not consistent. It does not appear to be very truthful. It's not beneficial to what you said was the truth if you have remembering stuff and you didn't, your behavior wasn't consistent. So his point was reached. Now, they are not having court tomorrow. I don't know why they aren't having court. I don't remember them saying that. I'm gonna have to go back and find out why I missed that, but they are not having court tomorrow. They will be back in court on Friday. So we have a day off, and then we'll go back on Friday to get back in the swing of things. I don't think they'll be done with her on Friday. They're going to do their redirect and recross, of course. So we will see if she is done this week or if they're going to drag her into next week. They should go ahead and be done with her this week, but they still have a lot to talk about, so it may go into next week. That'll be a lot because she already on my nerves. So we'll see how it goes. But I'll see you on Friday on the Karen Read Trial.